Okay. Tonight we're going to try a practice called social presencing theater. And social presencing theater is one of many practices in a group of practices called arts-based, awareness-based, systems change methodologies. So I want to talk about each of those pieces for a moment. When we say systems change methodology, these are ways that people approach addressing systems issues. It could be food apartheid, it could be child nutrition, it could be lack of transportation, it could be government accountability. Whatever the issue is, there are many, many different ways that people go about addressing systems issues and visualizing the system to then figure out where in this system are we going to act, what leverage points can we affect, and things like that. But this tonight is going to be slightly different in that it's not a systems change methodology that's based on thinking, analytical thinking, and problem solving. This is where the awareness-based comes in. So there are lots of practices that are awareness-based. Some of you, if you come from religious or faith-based communities, you might be used to prayer or meditation or contemplation. Some of you might engage in practices like yoga, etc. So there are practices that say, wait a minute, if instead of focusing so much on what we're doing and the policies that are created and trying to get this person to change and do this and trying to do that, what if we focused on the insides? We call it the interiority. Because maybe it's what's on the inside of a person that affects what they do on the outside. So there's a lot of practices that are focused on, okay, how do we change what we are aware of, how we think, our orientation on the inside, and then maybe that will affect the outside. And not just us, but everyone. How do we do that? So there are these awareness-based methods. Now, I do want to be clear, there is an assumption with awareness-based methods that if you are aware of something, you will then act. That awareness leads to action. As we know, that may or may not be true. There are people who are aware of things, but maybe they pretend not to know because they don't want the responsibility, or maybe they do know, but they feel powerless or weak. Either way, awareness doesn't always lead to action. Our hope, though, tonight is that any awareness that arises from this activity is one that you all can continue to work on and build on to work for change within the system of Alamance County and Burlington. The last part, or the very first part, is artistic. So arts-based, awareness-based, systems change methodology. So this will involve an art, and specifically this will involve theater. We call it social presencing theater, so that's the T part. There are many different systems change methods that use other types of art, dance, visual art, drawing, singing, etc. But tonight, we're going to do one that's focused on theater. Okay? Any questions so far with what I'm saying? You just ready to jump in and try it? Yeah. Some are yes, some are no. Okay. All right, so I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to talk too much, and Savannah will continue with, we're going to do, the first hour is going to be warm up, and the second hour we're going to begin to visualize the system here in Alamance County and Burlington with our bodies. You can use my mic if, okay.
I think it works. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. One more, can we do just one more? Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much. I am so glad to be here with you all. I got to drive up from just down the road in Charlotte, North Carolina this morning. And yeah, there we go, some Charlotte support, thank you. And I'm really glad to be here with Victor, and just, I've been learning about the incredible work you all have been doing, and just really excited to be in this community and also with folks who've come in to learn together, all of us, about design. So Victor shared a bit about what we're gonna be doing and what the core concepts that are a part of it are. I also wanna offer a bit of framing about why this feels so urgently important in the world that we live in. As I think we all know, we're living at the intersections of multiple crises. Big head nods, thank you. I'm not the only one who's feeling the low-lying panic most days, despite the beautiful spring. We, of course, have the climate crisis and centuries of unresolved injustice along lines of race and gender and so many areas. And of course, we're probably all feeling some expectation around democracy in this particular year, and of course I could keep going. And so this practice comes to us as an invitation to step out of the frames of reference and the ways of thinking and the ways of relating to one another that got us into this mess, right? How are we going to solve the problems using the same ways of being and ways of connecting and collaborating that allowed us to get here to begin with? So we're going to be inviting you all into something that's pretty new, different. I'm sure someone will use the word weird tonight. And that's actually the hope and the invitation, is that we might try something new, and we might try something different, and we might get something new and different out of it. So this is a part of work that's done at the Presencing Institute, led by Otto Scharmer and Arwana Ayashi. They talk about this moment that we're in as absencing. And so you can see they have this arc where we really move from a closed will, which is marked by fear, and a closed heart, marked by anger and hatred. Yeah, I see head nods, thank you. And closed minds with our ignorance. But thankfully, they offer us an alternative to this rather depressing scenario, which is, oops, Samantha, you might have to do it for me. There we go, okay, thank you. Which is, rather than absencing and disconnecting, we have the invitation to presencing. And we're gonna see this again tonight, but this is a broader theory that we're gonna kind of dip our toe in tonight, where we are gonna start with an open mind. We ask you all to come with an open mind to this new experience. And that's gonna give us the space to open our hearts and move with compassion together. And then we really have the space to open our will and see what we might accomplish with some really deep courage as we look inside of who we really are. So I'm gonna get us started with we're gonna do two kind of main methods this evening, and one is called stuck. And this is gonna be an invitation for you to feel what this feels like on an individual level before Victor leads us into a practice that will allow us to use our collective wisdom as a social group here tonight to tap into more insights than we have individually. All right, are we ready? Yes, okay, I'm really digging the energy. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so this practice called stuck really gives us the invitation to step out of trying to fix the situation from the same mindset or frame of reference that got us here. It's really an invitation to notice our bodies and what inclination it has to move from unhealthy, stuck places, disconnected places or troubled places, whatever is there that doesn't feel good, and the natural inclination we have to move to something that's freer and healthier, and see what insights we get from our body's movement, okay? So we're gonna suspend, this is gonna be hard, our problem-solving habit. You're gonna try to let your brain not do the leading here, and really lean into your body knowing. Did anybody learn this in school? Because I did not. Okay, our body ways of knowing. And from that, I can attest from my own experience that we can access new insights that aren't available to us from just thinking. So the principles I want you to remember are: let the body be the guide. You're not acting, you're not miming, you're not pretending. You're just letting your body move in the ways that it wants to move. You're trusting the moment-to-moment experience. It's gonna be hard to trust, but that's where your open mind, your open heart, and your courage come in. And just give yourself permission to try something new without judgment, okay? That said, this is by invitation, not demand. Everyone is invited to participate in the way that they feel most comfortable, and so you get to make your own choice. This is challenge by choice, if you will. So, all right, we ready to get started? Okay, so skip that one for now. So we're gonna jump into our stuck, the first part of our stuck. So I'm gonna preview the directions, and then I'm gonna ask you to move and actually start using our bodies to see what we learn. So, see if we are coming back here. That's all right, I'll grab my backup slides. So first thing that you're gonna do is move and get in groups of 4 to 6 people. This can be people you know. You may choose people that you do not know. Don't do it yet, don't do it yet. Sorry, thank you for waiting. I'm gonna preview the whole thing so you know where you're going and what you're doing. So you're gonna get in groups of 4 to 6. You're going to find an area with a little space to move. That can include the center of this circle. If you would like to go up to the stage with your group and everybody can access that mobility-wise, you're invited to do that. So that's step one, and I'll give you time to do that before I move you on. The next step is to reflect. I'm going to invite you to just sit quietly and find your inner stillness where you are able to really feel in your body what's happening. And then you're going to have a space to think about an area in your own individual life in which you feel stuck, okay? You don't need to tell anybody what that is, so if you want to choose something personal and keep it to yourself the whole night, that is free for you to do. Choose an area of your life in which you feel stuck. You're going to sit and feel what that feels like in your body. After that, a volunteer from your group will choose to be the player. They'll come out in whatever small space you have, kind of for everyone to see, and they're going to embody the feeling in their body of the stuckness in this particular situation. So they're going to find a pose, a sculpture, a gesture, a way of orienting themselves that feels like it, not looks like it, not acts like it, not represents it from an idea to a movement, but where your body feels the stuck. So I recently did a stuck, and my feeling, if I just sat with it and could feel it, my stuck felt like this. Okay? So you're going to feel whatever that is, move into that pose. It's going to be new and uncomfortable, and that's good news. That gives us new and uncomfortable, new pathways on the other side. And everyone around will have the important job of paying attention. Your job is to be a space holder. Okay, so you're simply quietly noticing and observing, saying nothing, and holding that space for that person to embody their stuck. This is called sculpture one. Okay? After everyone has had a chance to go, you're going to just offer brief reflections to one another about what you noticed. So I noticed that you had a lot of tension in your arm and you're stuck. I noticed that your back was arched or that you were facing away from something. Offer your reflections, and that's the end of sculpture one. Okay, these directions, I think in a moment we'll see them up on the screen, so they'll be there to guide you as you go through, and I'll give you voice reminders. After we finish sculpture one, we'll pause. I'll give you another set of directions. There's a sculpture two, and then we'll have some space to unpack this and reflect together about what we learned. Any burning questions before we jump in? All right, thank you for the engagement with your faces. I can feel a really great energy in the room. I appreciate it. I know this is really unusual and different for many, but thank you for the engagement I'm already seeing. And so I'm going to go ahead and say you can move into your groups of 4 to 6 and find a little space to move, a little opening. If you want to come into this circle on the stage, you can do that. All right, go ahead and move into your groups of 4 to 6 people, please. If you need to break into smaller groups, you can do that nicely. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. Hi, yes. All right. If everyone can now kind of come to a quiet place, we're going to take about 2 minutes to reflect. So this is your space now to identify an area in your life where you feel stuck. And all you do is feel that feeling of stuck in your body. Think about where you feel tension. Think about how it makes you, what it makes you want to do. Does it make you want to crawl up into a ball or stretch out? Feel it in your body. So I'm going to give us 2 minutes and ask that we all stay quiet and reflect and really bring into this present moment the stuckness of that situation in your body. Now, one person from your group can volunteer to be the first player, and all you're going to do is to step into a place where you have freedom to move and embody that feeling of stuckness. Bring it into your body and let it be represented. Let your feeling within your body guide you into a representation or a sculpture of that experience of stuckness. So you're going to do that for 1 to 2 minutes, and then you'll go back to the group, and the next person will step in and do it, and come back out, and the next person steps in until all who wish to participate have, and then we'll have some space for reflection. Okay? I see some wonderful sculptures. Keep moving through your sculpture 1. Challenge yourself to try something new if you're feeling timid. If everyone in your group has finished with their sculpture, this is your space for offering reflections. We'll give it about 1 more minute and we'll wrap up. Any reflections on what you witnessed as a space holder? All right, go ahead and come to a pausing point in your conversation. And we're going to move to sculpture 2. All right, so if everyone can look this way for a second, I want to give you a few considerations as you move into your next sculpture. Okay, so sculpture 1 represents the left side of this theory U, this yellow theory on top, where we're seeing and sensing and bringing into our bodies and feeling what is the current reality. What is the current stuckness that we're feeling? And this is what it looks like, this is what it feels like in my body. Okay, but we don't want to stay there, right? So now we're really at that bottom part of the U where we're going to be presencing, which is an invented word that really means to feel into the future possibilities. So now you're going to let your body feel where it wants to go from sculpture 1 into a better, healthier, freer future version of yourself without the stuckness. Okay? So this is where each person is going to have a chance to go into their sculpture 1, and this time it's going to be a little different. You don't need to watch one another. Each person can simultaneously do your stuck sculpture 1. If you didn't participate last time with a sculpture 1, and now you're feeling like, okay, this isn't that wild, you can totally join in now. So each person on your own, and you probably want to spread out a little bit for this, so feel free to find your own space. You're going to move into your sculpture 1, so mine was here, and on your own, you're going to take your own time, let your body do what it wants to do, follow the feelings in your body, and when it starts to get ready to move, let it move as it wants to, okay? So you're really trying to, this is the new way, we're not accessing our problem-solving ways of thinking that got us into these challenges, okay? We're seeing what our body wants to do. And from there, in your own time, allow it to move until it wants to stop. Allow your body to release tension, to open up, to flow, to move and in the ways that it wants to. And so this is bringing us up to the other side of the U, where we're able to come into a future version of ourselves and see what insight that brings. It might surprise you what you gain from the experience. So here are your directions. Get a little more space if you need it. Let me scoot us forward here. Get a little more space if you need it. Stay in your same groups. Decide if you'd like to participate now, if you didn't last time. And at the same time, simultaneously, all players embody sculpture 1, and as your body is ready, move into sculpture 2. And notice how it moves, what shape it moves into, maybe what moves first. And you can repeat that a few times if you want. Okay, you could do that 1 or 2 or 3 times. And then after you've had a chance, you can come back to your group and share what the experience was like for you. Okay, anything to add, Victor, before we go into sculpture 2?
The idea here, I think, is to remember that, so let me give you an example. Can you hold the mic? So if you look at me, I'm going to imagine a specific situation that I'm in, right? So I'm going to imagine a specific situation in which I feel stuck. So here I am, and one of the things I want you to realize is that this is uncomfortable. pushing without thinking, just allowing it to do what it does naturally. And this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm not making up any types of things, and why is my face facing this way? I don't know, it's just going. And eventually, at some point, your body stops. And this is the resting point is your sculpture too, right? And part of what I'm thinking is, well, I know what that situation is for me. So I know what this is in my life. And I said, wait a minute. When I was like this, the very first thing that moved was this force over here. Oh, and that's okay. So I began to think about what that might mean and how that might give me insight into what I might do that might be different than what I might think using my brain, my problem solving. So the question is to allow your body to move from sculpture 1 to sculpture 2 because of you have to let go. The tension, it's too much, it's not sustainable, so you just let go and allow the body to move, and eventually it comes into a resting space in sculpture 2. So that's the only thing I would add, yeah.
Perfect. You can go ahead and begin in your groups. Once everyone's completed, you can share what the experience was like, but mostly follow the lead of your body. All right, take 1 minute to wrap up your conversation, please. No. I give you an extra mic. We're going to ask a couple people to share what the experience was like, so if they're over here. Sure. Thank you. All right, we're going to come back together. You can stay in your groups, but just bring your attention to the circle, please. All right, we'd like to invite about just a few people, 2 or 3 people. Oh, good, you can come back, that's fine, yeah. You can stay in your groups, but if you all want to come down from the stage, that's great. All right, so we'd like to invite a couple of people to share what the experience was like for you. So if you'd like to share what the experience was like, an insight or a reflection that you want to offer to the group, we invite you to do so now. No? Okay. Anybody want to share? Yes, okay, great. All right.
So personally or for the group?
However you want to.
Hey, good evening, y'all. I'm Clifton Thomas, principal at Cummings High School. So one of the things that we noticed here in our group was I personally noticed that Statue 1 seemed to be a complete opposite for Statue 2. So mine was like this stress, kind of downward facing pose, but then the second one was this release, looking upward, kind of like I said, like a Rolls Royce, the emblem on the front of the car. Not like I own one, but yeah. But so that's what I noticed.
You want to add to that? Yeah, of course.
If I can build off that, exactly. I felt the exact same way. Hi, everyone. I'm Jason. I felt the exact same way. My biggest difference from Statue 1 to Statue 2 was a shift in perspective. I started face on the ground and did face looking up. So it was quite literally looking at it through a different lens, at a different angle that I noticed was the biggest difference. So plus oneing everything that you just said.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great. One more person want to share? Yes.
Hello, everyone. Seneca. One thing as a group that we talked about is in the first sculpture, it seemed like it was still noisy in here. But then when it seemed like everyone went into the second, it just went quiet. And that seemed like almost like the relaxing moment where everything was released, so it got quiet. When we were talking about with that first one, it's almost like this noise in your head that was still going on, and that was in the room too.
Thank you for that. Great. All right, well, we'd love to just create a few minutes here to open it up to see if there are any questions or curiosities that are coming up for you as you reflect on that experience. Okay, I think they got it, Victor. That's great. All right, good. All right, well, I say we keep cruising then.
Yeah, you can take a seat so we can make sure you see the next part. All right. So what you did just now was called stuck. We call it individual stuck. I want to show you before we go to the collective group activity. I want to show you what's called group stuck. So I'd love to have a volunteer that wants to help me It's not scary. Okay, thank you. Come on. Another volunteer, you want to help? Come on. This is great. Any other volunteers? No other volunteers? We'll start with 2. Any volunteers? Yeah. And you can just take a seat here for me. Any other volunteers? No other volunteer? Yeah, all right. Here we go. Another volunteer. I say a hand. You can come over here and sit down. So in Group Stuck, what happens is that I'm still doing my individual situation that I feel stuck in. I have an individual situation in my life, Victor's life, where I feel stuck. So I'm gonna get into that position. So I'm gonna go back to the same position that I just had before. If I'm trying to remember what it felt like. So it's something like this. And now what I'm doing at this moment is, instead of me moving myself from sculpture 1 to sculpture 2 in Group Stuck, I'm going to get the help of these people to embody the different forces in my life. Whether if this is a person, if this is my boss, if this is a whole school system, whatever these things are that are pulling me, I'm going to get them to embody. And so what I'm going to tell them, because we're going to do this in a moment, is I'm going to tell them where I want them to be in relationship to me. If I want them to be high up or high down or low down, if I want them to face me or to face away, and how I may want them touching me or holding my hand or pushing me or pulling me. And basically what they're going to begin to do is to embody the forces in my stuck situation. They do not know anything about my situation, any details, but they're just going to help me, right? So I'll try to do it. It's hard to do with this mic, but we'll see. So I think I was feeling something in my tummy, and I was something like this. So I might say, what's your name? Katie, can you come over here and pull my hand? And bend this finger, this finger back, yeah? And then pull my hand, yeah. And I want you, can you do it facing away from me? There you go. So Katie, is it Katie? Sadie. Sadie's embodying that force for me. And then I might say, Cheryl, can you come over? And on my left side, what I'd love you to do is take a knuckle, like one of your knuckles, and just bury it into my tummy there. Yeah. And can you do it from the ground? Or do you mind sitting on the ground? Okay. If you do, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. And then push in for me there. So now they're beginning to embody this force. And then I might say, say it again. MJ. Can you come, MJ? And MJ, what I want you to do is come from behind and just push down on my back with 2 hands. With 2 hands, yeah. 2 hands flat so I can feel yeah, okay. So, this is what's happening. Okay, thank you, great job. I still want you to sit down because I want to use you again. So that's what they're doing. So eventually we get sculpture 1, but now it's a group. They're embodying this, okay? But now I'm going to demo this, but I'm not going to demo it with me. I want someone who wants, one more volunteer who would actually like to do their stuck sculpture 1. One more volunteer who would like to do their sculpture 1 for us. And they're going to help embody the forces. Come on. Yeah, thank you. What's your name? Pamela. Okay. So this time I can talk without. And Pamela, go ahead. You can go in the middle. Yeah. Because you're going to do your sculpture, right? Okay, but Pamela, when you do your sculpture, then we're going to talk through choosing people to help embody the forces that are kind of putting you in that stuck situation. Okay, so Pamela, go ahead and sense into that stuck situation that you feel at the moment. Yeah, I was just waiting until you were settled, and I guess you are settled. So, yeah, why don't we have Sadie come on? What would you like Sadie to do? And do you want Sadie to be standing, sitting, kneeling? Is that fine? And is Sadie's direction fine, or do you want Sadie facing a different direction? Okay. Anybody else? And you want to make sure you're telling them how high, low to be, what direction, orientation they should be facing. Okay. Okay. Do you need any other people helping to embody forces for you? Mm. Is the position that she's in fine? Or do you want something different? Okay. Do you need anything else? Okay. So at this point, this is similar to kind of how you were in sculpture 1. What they're going to do is just clarify their positions. You're still doing it, sorry. They're going to clarify their positions. Okay, I see where I am. They're going to deepen into it. If they're pushing, deepen into the push, deepen into the holding of the feet, deepen into the holding of the leg, whatever it is. Feel the stuckness. Now, at this point, if you remember what we said, the stuck, the push, the tension, it's just not, you can't hold it up forever. It's unsustainable. So the body wants to release. You want to let go. We're not dictating how this happens. Usually it doesn't start with, Pamela, did you say? It doesn't start with the person. Usually it starts with someone embodying the forces, but it could start with the person. But at some point, after we pause and allow them to really feel and deepen and sense it into it will release and someone will start to move. Because they're touching each other and connected, as that person moves, other people may begin to move. This sculpture may change. It could move across the room. People might separate, come together. I don't know what will happen. But at some point, eventually, they will resettle, and we'll call that sculpture 2. And then what happens is we will go around, and I'll ask each of them to just say one word we call this an open mind. I saw this. Or an open heart. I felt this. Or an open will. I did this. That's all. We're not interpreting because we don't even know Pamela's situation. I saw, I felt, or I did. That's all they're going to do. And all of that is information for Pamela, who can then write that down in a journal and say, oh gosh, I was thinking analytically, and I thought I had to do this, but I noticed that this force moved first. Oh gosh, and this force came along with that force, and this force pushed this other force. We're trying to see what occurs, not just from the embodied knowledge or wisdom of Pamela, but now from this collective knowledge from this collective of 4 people, okay? So let's see what happens. We're going to try this, and thank you, MJ, as well. We're going to see what happens. So I'm sorry to keep you in tension for so long, but we're going to do it. Okay. So I'm going to stop talking. Go ahead and deepen into this sculpture, sense into it. Yeah, she's saying to push harder, and then we'll see what happens, what emerges as they move. Don't think it. Don't cause it. Just allow it. Let go. Just allow it, yeah. I'm waiting for it to settle. Just it's okay. So one sentence, I saw something you saw, I felt something you felt, or I did something you did from each person. Who wants to? Okay.
I saw support. I felt.
You can just do one.
Okay, thank you.
Because there are other people. No? One thing you saw, one thing you felt, one thing you did.
I felt an urge to help.
That's good. You felt an urge to help. That's important information for Pamela, because Pamela knows who this person is. And it may not be a person. It could be an organization. It could be a social, who knows? But that, oh, interesting. One thing you felt, saw, or did.
I felt support, actually. And I felt when I was doing it by myself in the first part of this exercise, I felt, I was really pushing myself down with this stuckness. And then asking people to come and help me be stuck, it's just having them come actually made me feel less stuck already because of her kind hands, and then it made me sad to think you were down there keeping me, helping me stay in my stuck position, and you didn't want to press on my neck, and so I felt supported, really.
Okay, well, thank you. We appreciate it. Give him a hand. What's the time check? What's the time? 6:30? Okay. So we're going to skip okay. So normally we would have you, at least one of your team members in your group, do a group stuck and bring you in, but we're going to move on if that's okay. Or do you really want to do it? A group stuck? Okay, we're moving on. Yeah. All right. So, okay. 6:30, 7:30. Okay, so here we go. We're now going to move into the second hour. This is the final hour. And normally, by the way, when Pamela was talking, she's like, I really wanted to, that's a natural urge. Without words, Pamela could have just picked this person up and led them. I've seen people move around the room, it's very free. You're not thinking, but as long as you feel it, you do it. So usually we have a very big space, and you move, and people flip or turn around or end up lying down. You do whatever, as long as it's taking you from this current stuckness to a kind of emerging reality. So in this next stage, we're going to do something called 4D mapping, okay? It's a different activity. We did stuck in the first hour, which just showed group stuck, and now we're going to do 4D mapping. 4D mapping is one way to visualize a system. There are many ways to visualize a system. Normally, usually, we'll send all of you out in this collective, and you go out into the community. Maybe you do research. Maybe you do interviews like we saw, and you bring that information back. And oftentimes, systems change. People will map it. If you've ever seen a system map, there's different kinds of systems maps, but we'll map it and we'll say, okay, based on this, we think this is a really important leverage point over here at the school or over here within the city council, and then we're gonna take some action to change the system. This is different in two ways. Number one, this is faster. I've seen system change projects that are 6 months, a year, 2 years. This is something you can do in an hour, hour and a half. Number two, this helps build oftentimes a stronger shared foundation than normal. And I don't even know what I mean by that, but sometimes when you do systems projects, what you understand about the system is different than what this person understands about the system. And sometimes, even though we bring our information together, we're not always speaking the same language. But this, today, what we're about to do, we are co-creating a visualization of the system. We are all experiencing it together. So even if it doesn't accurately represent it, we're building a shared understanding together. We're all seeing the same things, right? And so this is to create a shared foundation to say, okay, based on this, now let's begin to strategize what we learned from this about what we can do in Alamance County in Burlington. So those are the two things. And what we're going to do, just to give you a sense for it, we are going to have different roles. So we're going to all be seated in this circle, and there will be two main roles. There's really 4 roles, but 2 main roles. There are going to be people that are players. I think Savannah used that term. So you're going to be one of the people that's playing a role in the system. And then everyone else in the circle is what we call space holders. There are 2 important things that I want to mention. Number one, we really want you to be aware of yourself and be mindful. So feel your body, make sure you can feel the chair, your feet on the floor. And that mindfulness is important, not just for the players, but for the space holders. The same way that you felt people were holding space when you moved from sculpture 1 to sculpture 2, we want that same sense of space. Like, we are here to observe and to take part. It's not just the players, it's also the people observing around the circle. And number 2, pay attention to the whole. Up until now, you've been doing individual situations, my stuck, my situation. This is different. We are now looking at this whole system with all the people that are going to be playing within the system in a moment. So pay attention to the whole, consider the whole as you observe or as you feel if you're on the floor and you're one of the actors taking a role. Okay? Those are the 2 things. So I'm going to call out some roles, and people are going to come in. But before I do that, I want to explain the situation we're going to look at. You saw the video today of Walter Allison. I'm going to articulate it in one particular way. If I misarticulate it, feel free to correct me. But we're going to deal with the situation of we feel stuck in inequitable community development. There are resources, money that flow to different parts of Alamance County and Burlington in inequitable ways, such that we have education inequity, we have housing inequity. Some of us can afford houses, some of us cannot afford affordable housing. We even have transportation inequity, where some people are able to purchase things like a car, and some of us are struggling, and even that's even from like the transportation system isn't necessarily great in certain parts. These divides exist across race, economic class, religion, and even geography in this Alamance County. When I say geography, urban, peri-urban, semi-rural, and rural. How do we move forward in ways that, even when you consider like, well, you know, elected officials at the county level or city level can direct resources, somehow it's not necessarily happening. In fact, some of our representatives don't even fully reflect the diversity that exists across the county. So what do? It's been years, decades. Why haven't we advanced beyond this? We feel stuck. So that's the dynamic we're going to embody in this first group, Sculpture 1. So we're doing collective sensing, okay? Does the picture slides work, or they don't work anymore? They still work? Okay. So I'm going to show you the roles that we're going to embody. What I'm going to do, I'm going to explain the situation in a moment. We're going to have these roles, and these roles are roles people are going to have. I'm going to call out a role, and if you are a resident, it counts even if you're if you're here studying. But you live here in Alamance County, somewhere in Alamance County, we want you to be first to raise your hand and volunteer for a role. If we don't have a volunteer from Alamance County, then if you're a visitor from somewhere else in the United States, that's fine, you can take it. But first, I want to see people from Alamance County, okay? You do not need to play the role that you embody in the system. This is not about playing yourself. You can choose any role. Okay? This is not about choosing yourself. You can choose any role. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out a role, and then I'll ask for a volunteer. When they volunteer, we're going to put the label on your front and the label on your back. You're going to go to some place in this open space. I want you to consider 4 things. Where am I going? Number 2, how proximate am I to other roles that are already on the floor? So that doesn't matter for the first person, but if you're the second or the 5th or the 10th, you have to think, wait a minute, if I'm this and that's that, do I feel close to them or do I feel far apart? Do I feel in opposition? So think about how close you are in relation to others. Number 3, think about, are you up high? Are you down here? Are you on the floor? Are you lying down? Think about the level. Number 4, think about the orientation. Am I facing this other force, this other person, this other role? Am I facing away? Am I facing to the side? Am I, think about the orientation. So where you go, how close you are to the other roles, are you high up or down, your orientation, and then the form. Are you, what are you doing with your body? Like what kind of shape or form it's in? You're going to do all of that. When you get into your spot and you do whatever your position, your sculpture is, you're going to say one sentence from the I form, right? So imagine it looks a little bit like this, right? Like I was doing earlier. Then you say, I have been running for 27 years. That's all. Just one sentence from the I. I am happy but tired. Call the next role. Get a volunteer, put it on, they go to the position, they figure out where they are, and they give one sentence from the position of their role. Call the next role, same thing, again and again and again. So finally, we're gonna have everyone on the floor, then I'm gonna give you some time to readjust because maybe you were the first one out and now someone else came out and you realize, no, I think I need to be, I feel closer to that, so I'll give you some time to readjust. Then when everyone's readjusted, we'll give you some time to deepen, clarify your position, your sculpture, and just sense. And then we see what rises up. It can start from anyone at any point, at any time. You don't need to rush it, just let it happen. But the sculpture will start to move as people begin to let go. And eventually these 18 people will change positions, move around, reconnect, disconnect, etc. And they'll be in a new position. I'll go around once again. This time you're gonna say your name. I'm gonna make up a role, not necessarily, well, I'll use one of these. You'll say Burlington City Council, and then now you say a different sentence. I feel closer to the people than I have ever been related to your second sculpture. And we'll go around and do the same thing. At this point, I'll ask everyone who's on the outside, do you have anything else to add? Either I saw this, I heard this, or I felt, you won't do, okay, I saw someone do this. Let me put it like that. Or if you're on the inside, I did this. I saw this, I felt this, I did this. So that's the process we're gonna do. This is called collective sensing. We call this 4D mapping. We're mapping the system here in Alamance County related to inequitable community development. Now, before we start, I wanted to check really briefly, but quickly, any roles you think are missing or don't really need to be there because they're not part of the system. Yes. Okay, she's creating a card for that. Legal system as separate from the government or part of the government? Separate. The legal system. Do you mean like the courts? Okay. Okay, so we'll call it legal system. Okay. All right, so we got those two. Any others? What about what? So law, I'm hearing legal system and law, can they be the same? Is law part of government or is law different from government? Are you talking about the laws the government create or the legislature? Oh, law enforcement. Okay. All right, so law enforcement, legal system, indigenous, various indigenous communities, or maybe a specific one. Okay, so remember, every role you add, that's more people we have, and this is a small space. I'm just saying, you can add it, but if the people who have the role aren't able to distinguish, wait a minute, wait, I'm law, you're legal, wait, what am I, like they need to be able to understand. So just think about all that, that's all I'm saying. Before we go ahead. Inequitable community development. So some parts of Alamance County, how would you say this, are doing quite well. In some parts, they want their schools to be better. They want their transportation, yeah.
What about healthcare?
Okay, healthcare. Is this private healthcare or public healthcare? And do you consider public health, huh?
Public hospitals.
All right, healthcare. All right, let me ask you a question. Any that should be removed? Any you're like, well, I don't think that's an important role that affects the system around inequitable community development? should be removed? No, I'm asking, are you answering my question about what should be removed? You're adding one. Okay. All right, environment. All right, okay. Any others before I close it down? Going once, going twice. Okay, no more. All right, so let's begin to practice this. What I want you to do is to come to the circle, if you can, if you're able to, and take a seat in the circle. If there isn't a seat for you, you can just stand behind a chair because we're going to actually have people begin to come into the center. So take a chair, come in, take a seat, sit down in the circle. Take a seat in the circle in the center. Take a seat. Okay. All right. Take a seat. Take a seat in the circle. Okay, now what I want you to do, if you're seated in the circle, take your chair and move it further back to make a bigger space. As big as we can get it, yeah. Want a big, wide space. Big, wide space. And you can actually fit in a few more chairs that way, and we have a wider space. Big, wide space. Big, wide space. All right. That's great. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. What's the time? Okay. All right. So, if you are not seated in the circle but you want to be, don't worry. Some of these people will volunteer and their seat will be available. Okay? All right. Any questions about what we're going to do? Okay, so what I want to do before we start calling out the roles and handing them out, you don't have to move, it's fine. I'm going to walk in a moment. We're just going to take 2 minutes and be still. So think about inequitable community development. Feel yourself in your chair, your feet on the floor. And just listen. We're good at listening to our body when we're hurting sometimes or hungry. But we're asking you to listen right now when that may not be the case. What are you feeling when you think about the various kinds of people and the various situations that they find themselves in across Alamance County? Bring awareness to your feelings. Okay, so I'm going to call a roll, ask for a volunteer, and if you volunteer, find your spot, move, put yourself in the position, and then one sentence from the I position. I feel great, or whatever it is. You just say that. Then I'm going to call another roll. We'll do the same thing until we get all of the people out here. And remember, where are you? Where are you in relation to other people? How high up or down are you? What direction are you facing? And what form is your body in? Okay? Here we go. Let's start with Burlington City Council. No, we don't have that one. Okay, rural Alamance. What does that refer to? Let me do the. I want to start with the more some of the roles that have more power in the system first. Yeah. Okay. Healthcare system. Healthcare system. Healthcare system. Healthcare system. Volunteer. Thank you. Yep. Oh, she needs to. She has to find her position first. Yeah. Thank you. I'll do that one next. And when they get into a position, they say one sentence from the I perspective. Can you say it a little bit louder so everyone can hear? Law enforcement. Law enforcement. Law enforcement. Okay, even if you're not from Alamance County, law enforcement. Law enforcement. Law enforcement. Okay, let's skip that one. Environments. 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 Even if you're not from Alamance, thank you. Health system. Okay, yeah. Oh, what's this one? Oh, okay, that's the one. Okay, yeah. And remember, you say one sentence out loud from the I perspective when you get in position. Legal system. Say it one more time for people to hear you. American Indian community. American.
I feel powerless.
Alamance educators. Alamance educators. Doesn't matter if you're from Alamance. You have one behind here, Savannah.
We'll lift some of them up.
Alamance County students. Alamance County students.
I am powerful in my school.
Muslim community. Muslim community.
I am misunderstood.
Rural Alamance County. Rural Alamance County.
I like things just the way they are.
Black Christian Church. Black Christian Church.
I am hopeful.
And just a few reminders as they're doing this. I know some of you are holding this a while because there are lots of positions, so if you need to take a break, that's fine, and go back into your sculpture. For those of you that are holding space, there are clipboards with paper, so we do want someone to be ascribed to write down what's being said now and then what will be said later. If someone could do that for me, please. Thank you, Sonali. And then please remember, everyone doesn't have to be at the same level. Part of what you're doing is deciding the level you're at, the orientation, the connection. You can be touching others, the position where you are, and the position relative to others and where you're facing. White Christian church, white Christian church. Latinx community, Latine community, Latin American community. Remember, you're not playing yourself. You can play yourself if you want, sorry. If you go ahead, you can play yourself, but you don't have to. So don't wait for your role. You can volunteer for any role. Thank you. There's a person over here on the left.
I am trying to adapt and find my place.
Alamance County government. Alamance County government.
My hands are tied.
White Christian Church. White Christian Church. Law enforcement. Law enforcement.
I can't hear you.
Elon University faculty and staff. Elon University faculty and staff.
I feel overstretched.
Transplants, newer residents. Transplants, newer residents.
I feel unwelcome.
Elon University students. I see some people clarifying their position and moving in relation to others. That's fine as new people come on. Thank you, scribes and space holders on the outside.
I tend to ignore my privilege.
Sorry. White Christian Church. White Christian Church. Artists. Artists. White Christian Church. White Christian Church. Longtime county residents. Longtime county residents. Remember, you're not trying to play yourself. We're just looking for volunteers to embody a role. Longtime county residents. Longtime county residents. Nonprofits and social enterprises. Nonprofits and social enterprises. I think someone is walking there.
I am trying to help.
East Burlington areas. East Burlington areas.
I am forgotten.
West Burlington and the town of Elon. West Burlington and the town of Elon. Business, businesses, entrepreneurs, Burlington City Council, Burlington City Council, okay, we need some volunteers. You don't, thank you. West Burlington and town of Elon, or you want to choose? Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, MJ. Any other volunteers? You don't have to be from Alamance County because we're short of people. Burlington City Council. Someone standing? Are you volunteering? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. White Christian Church. Okay, we got one over here. Thank you.
I am trying to inspire.
That's the artist that just spoke, if you're a scribe.
Everything looks perfect. There is nothing wrong.
That's West Burlington and the town of Elon for the scribes.
I wish the economy was growing faster.
What's the role?
Business.
Business for the scribes, thank you. Oh, you want my mic?
I don't see any problem.
That was the White Christian Church for the scribes. All right, two more. Burlington City Council, two more volunteers. You all added all these extra roles. Burlington City Council. Burlington City Council.
No.
I just need a volunteer. Burlington City Council. You do not have to be in the City Council. This is not how this works. It's not lived experiential knowledge we're tapping into. Thank you. This is embodied knowledge. And last, okay. And for the scribes, Burlington City Council didn't want to say anything.
Say something.
Okay. So right now, I want you to hold space. Stay focused with us, okay? I want you now to, you have a question? Thank you, scribes. All right, so right now what I want you to do is to adjust. Maybe some people came after you were already on the floor, so feel free to adjust your level, your orientation, how close you are to someone, if you're touching them, where you're facing. Go ahead and adjust within the system. Remember, your position, this is a stuck position. You should be embodying a stuck situation. If you feel fine and dandy, that might well, maybe your role doesn't feel the tension, and that's fine as well. But the entire system, remember the focus here is the whole, not you individually, but the whole. Okay, at this moment, I don't see any more, are you still moving? Okay, it's okay. No, you don't have to see me. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet and we're going to allow them to clarify their structure, their sculpture, dig into it, feel into it, and because it is untenable, unsustainable, at some point movement should happen. But you need to be still for a moment because then it will confuse people if there's movement happening. So we want everyone in the sculpture to be still. And at some point movement will arise from anywhere, we don't know where. Don't think it, don't manipulate it, don't force it, don't act, but allow yourself naturally to let go. Consider the whole and allow the structure to move. And we'll see what happens. I'll stop us again when the structure settles into a second structure, the emergent reality, the future aspiration that we want to go to. But scribes, take note. Don't interpret just of what you see, of what happens first, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? And then we're going to go around again and ask the same questions, say your role, and then one sentence. Right now, dig into it, feel into it, and sense, co-sense. You're just letting go. Yeah. This is collective sensing. There's probably something wrong if you're in the same position that you were. Maybe you didn't have enough tension, but you should be sensing into it, and there should be movement. Don't think it, don't look around and think from the head. Just feel. Where does your body want to go? Okay, it seems like we've settled into sculpture 2. We have someone, yeah. So we're gonna go around, stay where you are, state your name, and then give your new sentence in this emerging reality.
You mean?
I'm law enforcement, yeah.
Okay. I'm law enforcement, and I'm just watching.
I'm Burlington City Council, and I want to include.
I'm Elon University, and I'm at the same level of helping other educators.
I'm Alamance Educators, and I couldn't hold it anymore.
I am long-term resident, and I want a Buc-ee's.
I'll watch that meeting. I'm East Burlington areas, and I want to be seen.
I am an artist, and I am grounded.
I'm the healthcare system, and I see most people, but I still can't reach everyone.
I'm Latinx community. I have so much to give. I just need to find my place. I need to find support.
I am the Black Christian Church, where everyone is welcome.
I am transplant newer resident, and I want to find my place in this community.
I am nonprofits and social enterprises, and I'm giving everything I can.
I am White Christian Church. I would like to give a hug to everybody.
I am Muslim community, and I feel more welcome, but I still want to welcome others.
I am the West Burlington and town of Elon, and we are always by our students.
I am Elon University students, and I should strive to be more involved.
I am rural Alamance, and I'm the center of the universe and digging my heels in.
I am the environment, and I can teach you about the power of a healthy ecosystem.
I am business, and I recognize opportunities and all the people to leverage.
I am American Indian community, and I look forward to all the help.
I'm the legal system, and I'm just really tired of trying to hold in place a system that's been broken for hundreds of years.
I am Alamance government, and I'm thinking about how much all of this is going to cost.
Good closer.
So stay where you are. Stay where you are. And now, if any of the space holders in the chairs or any of the players in the space want to give a sentence, so don't interpret yet, just I saw, or I did, or I felt. Anybody want to give a reflection about what they saw, what they did, or what they felt?
I saw parts of the community holding the stress and burden of others.
I saw many of the realities of this community that need to be changed.
I saw bridge builders reaching out.
Scribes, make sure you're taking this down.
I felt noticed, supported, and loved.
What's your role so the scribes know? Okay.
I saw the American Indian community still feel uncomfortable.
I saw lots of, I'm the legal system, I saw lots of people coming together, but not looking at me or, and ignoring me when I was the one that was holding all of the rules together.
I saw very slow, hesitant movements and some coming together.
I felt overwhelmed and not knowing where to start.
I feel we all need each other.
I saw empowerment of some parts of the community.
I saw like the foundation of the community as far as the legal the legal system and government not being included in community conversation.
I felt the small space that Alamance County is and how much division there still is and how many parts are in here, like in just one space, small space.
I'm Elon University faculty and staff, and I built bridges, but also decentered myself.
I felt embarrassed to have to say the words that I think Alamance rural folks say.
Can you explain that one again? You felt embarrassed to say that? What did you feel embarrassed to say?
Say that again?
I didn't understand what you said. You felt embarrassed?
I felt embarrassed to have to say the words that I think are on the minds of rural Alamance citizens.
I feel the pain of the homeless.
I saw the environment try to make the presence of our environment known to all of the other groups and be among it all, and I think we all need to pay attention to the environment.
Okay, there was, oh, someone else.
I saw the American Indian community standing up for themselves.
Okay, thank you, everyone. You can grab a seat in the circle. So one of the things, I didn't want to interrupt or correct. What I heard, I could be wrong. Some of us were already translating, interpreting in the saw. What I wanted to keep it at that stage anyway was just that I saw someone stand up, I saw someone never have anyone contact them, as opposed to I saw someone isolated from the, being ignored. That's where we get to the interpretation. But at this point, I just wanted to talk about what you saw. If you felt it, that's good. I feel isolated. That's completely fine. But in terms of what you saw and what you did, I moved, I touched, I grabbed, I spun around, I hesitated. I wanted to keep it at that level. So right now, we have a little bit of time to translate, even though I think we already did some of the translation or interpretation. So I'm going to ask a few questions, and let me know what you saw. Again, the practice depends on how well we really commit to it and embody it. What moved first in the system? You have the system and people feel stuck. What moved first? I'm hearing which church? I hear East Burlington, and then which church? There were two churches, Black Christian Church, but you think that she probably knows more because she was watching? Okay. So you said East Burlington areas? Yeah. What was the difference between the East Burlington area's initial position and their final position? So, because not everyone knows what the position they were in and what happened. So I just want to, can we explain that? Can someone? Sorry.
It went from dejection to some hope.
Okay, so before you interpret, tell me what physically you saw.
Lying down and then standing and joining others. So raising yourself up.
Did East Burlington, and normally, and I don't know if it was because of our hesitation or whatever, but normally there's more interaction as opposed to I'm just doing my own thing. It's people are moving and doing things. Did East Burlington area move from those two, from dejection to hope alone or with the help of other people? You got a microphone right there.
Oh, sorry. I saw East Burlington move alone, and right before East Burlington stood up, I saw East Burlington clenching their hands and then stand up.
So, and we're not going to have time to fully unpack this, but we've recorded this for you all to do more of this later. One of the things you ask yourself is, did we get any knowledge about how to move forward that is different than the way we have been doing it or the way we would have done it through analytical thinking, problem solving? According to what just happened, East Burlington stood up on its own as the start of this change. I'm not saying anything about it. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying that's what happened. East Burlington stood up on its own as the start of the change as we were co-sensing. Let me ask you this second question. How good was the emerging future, the reality that we had at the end? How do you interpret it? How good was it? So better, great. Okay, I'm coming around in circles, so I'm gonna start here and come over.
I wanted to see more connection.
So that's interesting. The future people saw at the end wasn't even fully connected. Does that speak about our ability to go ahead?
I still saw a community that's disconnected
one that needs to talk to each other. I saw people, like you said, like with East Greensboro, standing up and saying, here I am. But then I also saw Native Americans saying, you know, I'm not gonna fall for the okey doke. So, you know, been there, done that, right? Y'all say come in, then I come in, I let my guard down, and then you get me. I'm not going for that.
I saw the possibility because there were so many representations, but I wanted to see it come together more. For education to lie down flat on the floor, I thought I would see more possibility, and I was hopeful for more possibility.
Did education stay on the floor by the very, very end?
Let's see, he said he got tired of his position.
Something happened. What happened with?
I think it was Burlington's city council. Someone went over.
Yeah, who helped education?
Burlington City Council. Burlington City Council reached down and helped him up.
That's very interesting. Okay, Pamela. Again.
It was interesting that business seemed to reach out to the newcomer. I think I was right about that, trying to read the sign.
Yeah, I opened my hands, and I was reached by business instead of me reaching them. So that was interesting. Yeah, I'm Latinx.
So one of the things you have to think about, we don't have time to go into it right now, is how do you move forward to do systems change in a community where there are people within our community who have no hope? I'm not saying individually, I'm not saying role-based, but I mean collectively, we did not get to we couldn't even collectively co-sense a future where we were fully connected, and the indigenous community and whatever your role was, legal system, yeah, we're all, and the, what were you that you sat and were watching people? Alamance County government. What does that mean? How do we move forward if some of us have hope and some of us don't? That's something that has to be addressed as you move forward. Any final?
One thing I noticed about the difference between the first pose and the second pose was the first typically was face down, closed off, self-protective. And it's when people started looking up and looking around, realizing that they had a way of maybe reaching out and helping somebody. And like, I wanted to go and help Seneca off the floor for East Burlington. I wasn't part of the participants. But I think as we begin to not be so inward focused, but outward focused, then our struggles, our frustrations, it's not that they necessarily go away, but it becomes a shared burden as you reach out to somebody else that's also struggling. And suddenly you're sharing each other's burdens and those become lighter. And so it's just being willing to be inclusive of anybody that you see that is struggling in any way. And that can be from the person that you see during the day who looks like they're having a really hard day, and just seeing how you can help them, to our churches and our communities and our education system. I mean, we certainly don't give a whole lot of credit to our educators who struggle every day being able to make a difference in the lives of the students. So I think it's just in learning how to give of ourselves and look around that suddenly we start seeing our needs be answered also.
So you can use this as, just an activity that maybe makes you feel closer. You could use this as an activity that puts everyone with a shared understanding, but you can also use it as an activity, which is how we often do, for strategic decision making. oh gosh, we never thought about the business community reaching out to the Latinx community. We never thought about East Burlington. Here we were trying to empower them. They can empower themselves. Like, you know, this is actually something that we use for collective decision-making about how to move forward. And we often compare it. How does this compare to what we were doing or what we thought was best to do? Are there any insights? So what Savannah and I have done, or I think we've done, we've left facilitator guides for some different activities. If you should want to continue to do this, you don't have to, but it's there and available for you if you want to move and continue to move as a coalition to work on systems change here in Alamance County and Burlington. Any final thoughts, reflections, Savannah, or anyone else? Oh.
I think I speak loud enough though. I think this is all well and good, I mean, because we're just participators. But in real life, systems, each one of these entities, they need to play a part. And that's where our problems are, because they don't play a part and they don't communicate and they don't come into the communities, any of them, to do, well, I'm not gonna say any of them, but the ones that are deprived, pushed aside, and neglected, okay? So, and that's, we don't know how, I don't know how, I know I have a big enough mouth. There's a few people here that know me. I know how to speak, I know how to talk, and I know how to get my point across. But when you're talking about the government or these other entities, systems, don't know. It's a problem.
Yeah, so one of the questions we ask ourselves is how then, so there were people in the system that did not play a part until the Black church reached out to them, until somebody came. So that's the question, that if they're not playing a part, how do we then do that? So are there insights we can pull from that?
I just want to mention that within like a minute or two that I started noticing all the different communities, I felt so bad because the senior citizens were not represented. Yeah. Thank you. I look forward to working with them. Anyone wants to join me?
So this is sort of a broader look, but I noticed that I don't even know how many times you looked for a representative of the white churches, and there was a lot of reluctance, and I started thinking, are there actually more than, like are white churches two different groups, different kinds? Yeah, I mean, that's my impression, and nobody wanted to stand up for, you know, a collective white church. But the person who was representing the white churches went way, way over there. And you know, it's like everything's okay. And that made a big difference when he came back in and started reaching out to other people. And so I just kind of wanted to draw a little line around that, because the churches are trying to do a lot of things, but if they're out there, they're not going to actually be very effective.
Okay, I think there was someone over here.
I was just going to say, something I was thinking about was the connections that folks noted, and how I think that we are all, these groups, but also us as individuals, more connected than we think that we are. For example, rural Alamance in this was very isolated, but the actions of rural Alamance affect the rest of the whole, and also the rest of the whole affects rural Alamance. You know, I mean, in reality, like, all of us would be touching the environment, because the environment affects all of us, including at this present moment. So I think that in addition to developing connections, some of the work is just realizing the connections that are already there.
Savannah, do you have instructions for the things the scribes have written or submitting future feedback?
I think I'll
I'll leave that for Danielle to add for us.
I moved over here.
Oh, look at that.
Yes, so that's the hope, right? We have been able to get into the room with other systems thinkers, with other people who have positions of authority in these different systems and share the findings from these events. And we're going to continue to do that. We're committed to that and continuing these opportunities. So we need your voice in this moment, like your insights, your takeaways. There's a QR code floating up there that you can scan with your phone. It's also at every single table. And that's where we want it. And I'll take what you wrote as well and type that up. But this is a really quick way to say, I was here. This is what emerged, right? We put those reports together. We have funding from the North Carolina Humanities to continue these conversations and to continue to push, to get people in the room to see what's emerging, right? To put those reports together and to advocate for those next steps. So one of the next things we absolutely need you to do, and if you don't want to scan the QR code, we also have a physical printed out form, and you can just jot your comments down right on that. But we need that information to advocate for what we're learning in these spaces, to continue these conversations and to invite them into this space. These spaces continue to grow, and that's our commitment. On that note as well, we have yeah. Oh no. We'll try to change that. So there's the physical forms all around the room on this table. Whenever we create a new survey, it limits itself often to Elon University. I thought we had it changed. Yeah, we can fix it right now. On that note as well, we also, with a part of this work, have an opportunity to create what's called story walks across our community, and we're in the process of doing that with our stories. Right, we've collected 50 stories over the past 5 years. We're going to continue to collect those. We'd love to collect many of them from those in your room, but story walks where you walk along and there's a panel and you get to read about Walter Allison and the work he's doing in the community. As a part of that, we're going to ask for feedback from community members that might be walking along so they can scan and they can tell us what they hope for the future, right? So anyways, your ideas are inspiring what happens next, right? This is emergent from these spaces. And so again, whatever you want to share with us here really can catalyze what this fall will look like. We're going to continue to capture stories of community members this fall and into the next years. And so we need your voice present. So again, as you scan that QR code in a second, it's going to work. Or grab a piece of paper and leave it there, and we'll collect all of those as well as any notes you have here to continue those efforts. Shanice Sellers, if you want to raise your hand, is the Executive Director of the African American Culture, Arts, and History Center, a founding member of the Collaborative, Citygate Dream Centers. All of you in this space are storytellers, representatives. Thank you so much. What else am I forgetting?
I can close this out with a little appreciation.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you all for the commitment, engagement, the willingness to try something new that I don't think felt comfortable at all times and went in directions none of us knew. So I really want you to take a moment to thank yourself and appreciate that you showed up in the way that you did today. And I think our questions about what do we do with this are absolutely the right questions, because the world doesn't change if conversations and reflections stop here. And I wonder if you notice what I do, which is often that we identify a problem, discomfort rises, and we try to solve it right away, in part to contain the discomfort. And rarely do we spend enough time understanding what it was. I really think about what we learned about what was embodied about the American Indian community today. And did we come in with that insight? Do we take that? Is that already in how we move in the world? And where might we hold some of that grief, some of that sadness, some of that reality, and also some of that self-empowerment that was commented on? So I wonder how these insights add something as we do continue that becomes fuel and insight for those steps, the next steps that you all take to make the change that you're really hungry for here. So thank you all for your earnest participation, and grateful to be here with y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. That QR code will work now. So if you scan that code, you'll be able to leave us those critical insights we need for next steps. Thank you so very much. For those of you that are staying at the Drury Inn, we have a shuttle just outside the doors if you would like. And Katie Lloyd here is the shuttle driver if you want or need a ride at any point or have questions about tomorrow morning.